Aloha, everyone. Michelle Melendez with blossominnerwellness.com and standtogetherhawaii.com. And this is also on the Voice of Kona Radio, 100.5 FM. And you can follow that, listen online or listen on the radio anywhere on the islands. I am super excited today because I have Ann Williams. She was the person that testified for the Maui City Council, in front of the Maui City Council, about the police blockade during the Lahaina fires. So she's going to be sharing her story. But before she starts, I do want to say that we do have the affidavit that is going to the governor showing his violations of the Constitution, both the Constitution of America and also the Constitution of Hawaii. I have submitted mine. There are some instructions in the description, so if you want to be a part of that, you can be. Anybody can submit the affidavit who has been harmed, which means emotionally. If you've, especially it is super, super strong for people in Lahaina and people in Maui who have gone through the fire to submit the affidavit. And that is how Ann reached out to me. So I'm super, when I saw your name come through, Ann, I was like, is this the Ann for the testimony who did the testimony? And it was really, really exciting to see your email. So thank you so much for joining me and for contacting me.
Okay, sure. Thank you for all your help too, what you're doing. I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. And I'm definitely going to do the affidavit today and send it in.
Great. Your testimony makes it even stronger. So what I'm basically showing the governor is this is how you have violated your Constitution, but you have actually truly been harmed in the fires, and not like physically, but emotionally and physically, as far as how emotions affect the human body. But go ahead and share your story about how you escaped, what you saw with the police, and then I'm going to share, you guys watching, I'm going to share what we've done so far to hold the police chief accountable for his actions. So go ahead, Ann.
Okay, so I was home. I live directly on the Lahaina Road, just a little bit below the bypass. And I was home all day, just hoping that, of course, no fires would show up. But then I did see the fire start, the afternoon fire. I could see it from my front door up the hill. And the wind was blowing so hard that day, as everybody knows, and I immediately went out the front door and I could already feel the heat from the fire on me, like you're sitting at a campfire. And so I knew I had to leave quick. And I didn't have time to, unfortunately, get any of my animals out. That's the really sad part for me. But I did get out. I wasn't able to drive out. It was already gridlocked on Lahaina Road, right in front of my driveway. I did try to get in my car and drive away, but actually my key snapped in half as I put it in the ignition. So wasn't going to be driving anywhere. I knew I had to run down the hill, and I did try to get some of my goats to come with me, but they were so scared they kept running from me, and I just didn't have time to get them, and they were too heavy to carry. So unfortunately, I ran down the hill alone. And I do have a family that was living with me, but they were already out of the house at the time. I have my daughter, granddaughter, and my daughter's boyfriend, the father of the grandbaby. And so they were already out of the house, which was good. I ran down the hill, and at the bottom of the hill, at the light at Lahaina Road and the highway, the main road, Honoapi'ilani Highway, is where I actually saw my daughter already being stopped by the police. She was on the highway trying to go north. She was in her truck already, saw the fire and was trying to get north. She was being blocked, but in a way that was okay. I had time to jump into her truck. So we sat there being blocked by a police officer right there at Lahaina Road. Nobody could go on the highway going north. He was blocking the whole highway traffic going north, which is the way we wanted to go. And so we didn't just sit there. I just said go, because I knew the fire was coming down. It was coming down quick. And I knew this police officer would be running for his life any minute. So I just took off. We just took off, didn't obey the traffic cop that was there blocking everybody, and just moved down towards Front Street. We had to go down towards Front Street and then make our way through the streets in Lahaina town going north. We eventually did get out of town by going out the Flemings Road exit near the old Chart House restaurant. And it was still open at the time. And when we did go out that exit, we were able to turn left on the highway, which is going north. And it was just free and clear, no poles or anything down. No electric poles were down, and it was just a safe exit, free and clear. Cars can go, and there was nobody. It was hardly anybody except for just the few people that were getting out Flemings. That was the only exit really to the highway at that point, going north, which is the way I was going. And I made it out north, so I was safe there. I did notice though later after I left is when that exit became blocked by many by two police cars just blocking the exit, not allowing anybody else to go out that route.
Did you see any telephone poles, or what was there any reason for these cops to be stopping people and not allowing them to go through?
Not that I could see. It was no traffic. I mean, I did see traffic coming the other way. People who might have been working in Kaanapali were probably trying to leave their workplace, trying to come back to Lahaina to get their families out. They were coming the other direction, and I believe they were getting blocked also. They don't. I don't really know on that direction. I just saw cars coming that way, but the cars that were going north, which was the way I was going to get out of town, at Flemings. Once you're on the highway at Flemings and can turn left, there were no poles in the road. Nothing. It was just easy driving the whole way north. It was. We knew we made it out at that point. It was safe.
So we have submitted a complaint with the police commissioner against the police chief. We had 60 days to do it. And we basically shared your testimony as well as other local eyewitnesses showing how the police were blockading, or writing down how the police were blockading people from leaving. And we got a letter back saying that there was not enough substantial evidence. That was heart-wrenching to read that. And so our next step, as far as people who were not involved, we are going to be submitting a complaint with the Board of Ethics against the police commissioner, as well as I'm looking into doing an affidavit against them, because they have taken an oath to defend people, and this was major. So you said that on your testimony that there was a person that actually talked to an officer, and he said can you share what that story was?
Yes, and I had seen him on another interview, and I talked to him personally too, because I seen this gentleman in town, and so he was a walker that day, walking up towards the Flemings Street exit on Front Street, right along the ocean side. He did say to me that he saw, he was walking past all the cars that were stopped and not moving at all. And he just kept walking past all the whole line, a couple of blocks of cars. And then he finally got up to where the light was at Fleming's at the exit going out onto the highway. And he did see it blocked right there. And he knew this police officer was blocking all those people in their cars on Front Street. And he spoke to the officer and said, the fire is coming. You've got to let these people out. And he said, I've got orders to block this section.
And was there any reason for him blocking it? Was there anything
I don't
danger?
know. I mean, I didn't see anything when I left. I didn't see any pulls down in that section. People could have gotten out.
Mm-hmm.
People could have easily gotten out.
Even if it was like
that
driving
way.
around.
That was the only exit.
Yeah.
Because there were electric poles down in other areas of the highway, closer, south, a little bit south, down in the town area, but not down up where Fleming's Road is and up north. So that was the safest exit. That was the only exit really at that point that I could see, where there were no poles down, and it was free and clear flowing traffic.
Have you yourself contacted any police, or been contacted yourself in any way by
No.
this situation.
Oh,
What
no.
was life after the fire? What was it like as far as getting help and support?
Well, I went to a friend's house, so I was okay. I did not realize how bad the town was burning because of no contact with anybody, no cell phone or anything like that. So I didn't have a car anymore at that point. Everything I lost. So I didn't realize how bad it was until the following morning, really, that people were jumping in the ocean and whatnot. Because I personally didn't realize it was the whole town was going to get taken away. When I was fleeing. Um, so I was lucky. I had a friend's house to go to, so we were okay. I've had a place to stay ever since. My daughter has been able to get help from FEMA, so she's been housed with her family with the grandbaby. But I was able to get help from a friend.
Okay. And do you have are there other people that were in a similar situation? Like how do you feel about the community there? What's happening with the community? Do you feel
It's
it's getting
hard.
the
It's
support that it
Yeah, it's
needs?
hard trying to get them into housing uh, that's not a hotel, for one. I have seen my daughter was in a hotel for a while, getting moved around room to room, things like that. So it is difficult. It's heart wrenching, and especially if you have a big family with numerous children, it's really difficult. And I just couldn't imagine what they are going through for the people who, lost family members. I was lucky my family did get out. Thank goodness.
What what do you think of the death number being 97 people who've died in this fire?
I don't buy that at all. Because the following morning, I know people who did go back into town immediately early in that morning and saw all the bodies. There's more than hundreds of bodies just everywhere, charred inside the cars, lying on the streets, things like that. And so I know that number of 100 is not accurate whatsoever. And there's some kids that I know, family with kids that aren't even named in the in the names list, things like
Mhm.
that. So it's not true. It's not. It's just a made up number that they want to keep it under 100 or it's
Yeah.
publicity stunt.
No. Yeah, it was 115, then it dropped to 97. So now some people have asked me, they say, well, Michelle, what about the friends of people who are missing? Why aren't they speaking out? What would you say to that?
I don't know. I don't know anybody personally who's not speaking out that had somebody lost that was not named. So I've just heard from others. So it's hard to say where are all those people? Why aren't they speaking out? Some of them were homeless people,
Yeah,
didn't have family.
yeah. Do you feel this was a normal fire, wildfire?
Not from all the evidence I've seen since then. And I honestly don't believe
But
this
what have you
was.
what are some of the things that you've seen? I agree. It wasn't normal in my opinion. I've interviewed a
Just all
48-year
the
arborist.
burning, the way the burn was, and fire
What was
captains telling
what
me
was the
that it
Go ahead.
wasn't a normal fire. Um, just a lot of fires starting all over the place. It wasn't just one fire. I know a gal I know who works up at Lahaina Luna in the boarding department. So they were there when the fire started, and she's up there. She could see everything from up there. And she said it wasn't just one fire, there was just fires starting everywhere. It was multiple fires. So it
Mhm.
wasn't just one fire. And
And
by that I know I feel like it was just somehow other something else was starting all these little fires everywhere.
so I was watching a news report that said arson had been happening over the years in Maui. Do you know anything about that? Or have you heard of any stories like that? Of
We never hear of actually um, I've heard of arson on some fires that are reported, but never the full story,
Mhm.
never, the final story. maybe they've never caught the arsonist. I don't know. So we never really hear who did it.
But you've heard that there have been arsons in Maui over the past years?
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah.
We've heard
Yeah.
it on the news. When a fire, is reported on the news, they say arson is suspected. And that's pretty much the end of it. We don't hear anything further.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so there's no
I've
follow-up on
never,
that story. Okay.
usually I have not, yeah, not heard it.
Were you allowed in your property again? Like, were you, because I heard,
No,
was it Jeff Stevens? He reported that the EPA was allowed in to sift through people's property, but people were not allowed back to their property.
correct. That's right. I was not allowed back in. Definitely blocked by the military personnel that was there. They blocked all the streets. I wanted to go back in, and just for one, just to water my trees. I have 4 giant 70-year-old mango trees in my backyard, and I just wasn't sure if they were, dead or not. And I wanted to continue watering them, and hopefully they'll come alive because mango trees usually are pretty hardy. And I couldn't even do that. I said, I just want to go in 5 minutes. I had buckets of water in my truck to go in just to put water on my trees, and they wouldn't allow me to do that. And I do know that either the EPA or whoever was sent in to sift through the properties did sift through mine
Oh, okay, for a fact that, see,
without my knowledge.
that's
Without my
exactly, I
knowledge.
put that in your testimony in the affidavit. If you need help, just
Oh yes, I
just
did.
send it to me. I'll look through it. Um,
Yeah.
there was another question I had around that. So have you been in since? Were you able to go back since?
Yes, they finally did let us all in at certain times. So I have been in since, and so that's how I realized they did sift through it, because they left some things out that they found that were of they felt were historical significance, like point pounders and things like that that we had. So they did flag things, and they took out all our gas cans or any spray cans, paints, and piled them up at the end of the driveway. They're still there. And so I didn't do that. So I knew somebody did that. And apparently they want to haul that away.
Mm.
But they have not yet. But so they were there.
So when you went in, did you have to go in a hazmat suit or anything protective, mask or anything like that?
Yeah, they gave us all that to protect ourselves with. And so I did wear all that when I went in.
Okay, and what else? What was the scene? Were your trees there? Did you notice any foliage on the trees? What did the trees look like?
The trees are there. They're all still standing, but they're dead. There's no, the leaves are all gone. And there's no new green ones coming out. So I have had 2 different arborists go and check them, and they have told me that they're not going to survive. They're dead.
Did the arborist say that
So the
that's
sap was
normal
coming out of
for,
them.
did the arborist say that that's normal for a wildfire? Because normally the tree's roots don't burn so that they are able to regenerate. But what did the arborist, did he have any comment on that?
No, he didn't. I didn't ask him that specifically. Unfortunately, I don't know.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to share about, I mean, this is horrendous, and it's really interesting about the Maui police chief being the guy who was at the Vegas shooting, one of the world's worst shootings, and a lot of questions around that. And now he's here in Maui, the worst wildfire in history, with less than 97 people, I mean less than 100 people supposedly that have died, and the mayor, or sorry, the governor never mentions missing people. He never mentions the number of missing, which was at the UN when he was speaking about that. But anything else you want to share about your experience, and what are they doing now as far as compensation for your home and insurance and anything like that?
Yeah, well, the whole thing definitely sounds suspicious, with everything that happened. No sirens, no warnings, nothing, no water in the hydrants, even before the fire. And so it's definitely suspicious, and I hope it is investigated. As for me personally, I did have insurance on my home. So um, I was able to get an apartment to rent, and insurance is helping with that, but it's not enough to build a new home. So we're definitely underinsured, unfortunately. So I'll just have to build a smaller house.
So your cell phone, were you able to use your cell phone that day?
No, that cell phone was not working from early in the morning. I would say the last time I got a text from anybody or was around 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe right around there.
And then it stopped working.
Yeah.
And it stopped working.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm trying to remember all of the little details of what I've been reading about. The electricity, was that turned off as well? Like, would you remember the electricity that
Yes.
day? What happened
Yeah,
with
we
the
had no
electricity?
electricity.
From
We had
when?
no
From what time?
electricity from early in the morning, probably around early, like 6 in the morning, possibly, that I woke up that morning with no electricity. So I don't know exactly what time the electricity went out, but I knew it was really early.
And do you just notice anything different about the clouds or anything? I've seen somebody, I haven't seen the video again since, and I do have it on one of my videos way back when I first started with this, but that there was clouds, like a weird mist or something in the clouds. Did you notice anything like that on the day before or the day of?
I didn't personally notice it at my home. I wasn't paying attention to that really. I do have friends in Kula who specifically noticed that a white mist came over and it was all over their garden in the morning the day
Yeah,
before.
that's what yeah, I do have a video. I think it's why question Maui fires on the Stand Together Hawaii.com page. So Anne, I just want to acknowledge you for your courage to speak out, and also your courage to say no to the police officer and to go around the barricade. Or how did you do it? Like, was he standing there and you literally had to drive around him, or what was that like?
Yeah, we drove around him. It was just two police officers at first, and then one police officer um, walked away. I don't know why and then it was just one police officer. So it was easy to go around one police officer. So we just ignored him, just went around him. And
Oh, so he was just there by himself, just his body. No, there wasn't
mm-hmm.
like a barricade or anything.
No, not there at Lahaina Luna. No, right there at Lahaina Luna and Honoapiilani Highway. There was no barricades. It was just two police officers standing there, holding traffic. And then one police officer left, and I just go. We can't sit here. We can't sit here. That we had the whole family in the car. I said, just go. My daughter was driving. I told her to go. Just keep going, and she
Good,
did.
good. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. So, oh my goodness. Anything else you want to share? And then we'll close it with a prayer.
Just thank you for your help and continuing to investigate this. And I really, truly hope that people are held accountable, because I do believe this was wrong. It was not right. I believe that Lahaina was attacked. It was a planned event. It's pretty obvious with all the evidence that's been brought up. And thank you.
Do you know about this Maui being the first smart city? Are you familiar with that?
Oh yeah, I saw all that since the fire. I never realized it until now, and everybody started doing their research about this. And the dew energy is out there.
It is.
It's evident. It's been out there for quite some time, and
since the 60s.
so
Yeah,
I
well,
believe,
it's the 60s. They've
yeah.
been spending
I mean,
$6
nobody wants
billion
to believe
on
it.
it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to believe it. Nobody wants to believe it. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But I see that it's happened, and I know that it's true.
Yeah, and I get the not wanting to believe it. When I first was starting to wake up to understanding what the government is, and really I remember just arguing with my boyfriend at the time, going, no way, no way. He showed me a video that I put on every single one of at the bottom of the descriptions of every single one of my videos, and say, if you want more, if you want to open up, go to Zeitgeist, and I watch these videos, and it floored me. And I was in bed crying for 3 days when I realized what the government is not what we truly in our hearts, as far as being a human person with empathy and compassion for each other. That is not what what is happening with our government. So anyway, Anne, I just want to say thank you so much. And let's just close it with a quick prayer. Great Spirit, infinite intelligence of all things. Wow, what a journey we are all on. I'm so grateful for the courage of Anne today and also her family. And thank you so much for keeping them safe on that day. And we just know that there is an amazing light of truth that is wrapped around Maui, in particular Lahaina. And we know that the truth of what happened on that day and those people will be held accountable. And we give so much gratitude to all people who are speaking the truth and having courage and tenacity to not let this go. Because what is real and what is true is coming forth, and this is awakening all people to understanding that Great Spirit, that there is a higher purpose for all of this, and that is the freedom of people from tyranny and from the tyrannical powers that be that have held people for so long, and that their reign is over. And we just ask right now, Great Spirit, that you just touch anybody's heart in Maui, in Lahaina, in East Palestine on the mainland, in Palestine, in Israel, in Ukraine, in Russia, that you just, in Yemen, in China, that you just touch anybody that's needing hope right now, needing just a little bit of inner strength, that they know that they're not alone, that there are people that are willing to speak out for them if they don't have a voice, that are willing to do any research that holds these people accountable and stops not just the violence, but these lies, these absolute lies. And we are so grateful for our inner strength. And Great Spirit, we just know that you have a higher power than anything that we could possibly imagine. And we just surrender fear, and we just open our hearts, knowing that you are guiding us every single step of the way. And we are so grateful for that. And so it is. So Anne, thank you so much for this interview. The last thing I do actually, when I was thinking about it, is the Alawalu, the waste that they want to move to Alawalu. I am doing an affidavit against the Maui City Council to hold them accountable for their oath of office, because they can't just disregard people like the way that they did with this. So that will be coming out shortly. But I just want to say thank you so much for keeping going. And you're not alone, sister. We're in this together.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Much aloha to you.
Aloha.